Okay, good evening and namaste, everyone. Welcome to the second day and the final day of this yoga philosophy workshop. So, today we are going to understand and discuss the last three limbs of the yoga philosophy, which is the Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. We will know from Dharana. Dharana is attention. If we want to understand dharana in one word, it is focus or attention. So, in simple terms, we will call this attention or focus. And dharana, in literal sense, in Sanskrit sense, means dhara. It comes from the word dhara, and dhara means stream or flow, stream or a flow. So it is a steady stream of your attention on an object. Okay, that is what is called dharana. Now there is a little phrase in Sanskrit which says bandhas chittas dharana. So bandhas, this is how we can write it. It's in one line, but I'm going to write it in three words. So bandhas and chittas dharana. Now, bandhas is to bind. Bandhas means to bind or hold together, right? And chitta is the mind. And to hold together the mind at one place is called dharana. That's the meaning of it. Okay? It is also called one-pointedness or focus. Focus means one-pointedness. You are pinpointing on an object and you are there steadily. That is called dharana. So, capacity to hold the mind in one place. Bandhas chittas dharana. To hold the mind in one place is called dharana. Why? Because mind is fluid in nature. It keeps flowing. It keeps moving here and there. So when we hold it in one place, we are in dharana. Right? Now, pranayam and pratyahara. Pratyahara, what we did yesterday, and pranayam is breathing, regulation of prana, regulation of breath and prana are going to take a person or a yogi towards dharana. So pranayam and pratyahara bring about this stage of meditation. Now, just to clarify, meditation, what we use in our everyday lives, meditation is a very vague term. If I'm sitting with my eyes closed, if anyone sees me, they will say, "Oh, she's meditating." But I could be maybe chanting silently. I could be only in dharana, focused, pinpoint attention on my breath, and I could be sleeping, right? But it is called meditation. So, meditation is a very vague term. But today, what we are going to understand is that dharana, dhyan, and samadhi are the three levels of meditation. Okay, this is the initial level where we train the mind to focus only on an object, and that focus, when it becomes very steady, like a stream, unwavering, and it is happening over and over again with a lot of practice. And when the mind begins to steady, then then the person automatically moves into dhyana. Now, this dharana could be induced or it has to be induced. It has to be cultivated. Initially, because as we just learned, the mind is fluid, flowy in nature. So you cannot just move into dharana in one day. It has to be a constant practice and everyday practice, consistent practice. With that consistent practice, that consistent practice is the induction. So you have to induce yourself or cultivate the habit of um, focusing or holding your attention to one object. Practice, as I said, is has to be continuous and consistent practice, and this definitely is not going to be successful in one day. So we have to take that for granted. It has to be, or it has to be practiced over and over again. Now that's why we say it has to be cultivated. To study the mind, we have to make an effort. Okay. Now from here, when the mind begins to get steadier or stable, the yogi automatically moves into dhyana. Now dhyana is another level of meditation which is a little higher than dharana. Okay. Now it is can this one cannot be induced. So no induce, it cannot be induced, not induced, or not cultivated. This is absolutely opposite of dharana. This we have to make an effort, consistent effort, and a long process of practice will take the person automatically into dhyana. There is no need for the person to make an effort for dhyana. Yes, this thing needs an effort. We have to practice dharana and we smoothly transition into dhyana. So when we start the practicing meditation, again, it is a general term, we should not worry about this stage. We should be concerned about only this stage because the later two are going to happen. They cannot be induced. Okay, that's the difference. Those are the higher states of meditation. This is the initial one. Now, what happens in dhyana? We have already done this. So, what happens in dhyana now? Once we are uh, stretching the dharana with our regular practice, it becomes dhyana. Now, what happens in dhyana? This is a stage of pure observation, a stage of witness and pure allowance. Now here, when the with your regular practice, when a yogi reaches this stage, uh, the the person begins to accept everything around him or her. So there is the duality of me and you, right and wrong, this and that. Everything begins to dissolve on its own. Why? Because the mind is already steady due to this dharana. There is total equality with everything, and that total equality will bring oneness, a stage of oneness, that everything is the same around me. Yeah, where were we? We already completed dharana, dhyana. We were talking about all that we talked about has to be in dhyana only. Deep silence, losing the track of time, and it cannot be induced, cannot be cultivated, it cannot be practiced. It has to happen. Now, this becomes a quality, just like just like there is a flower, and then it has its fragrance. Now, fragrance is a consequence or a quality of the flower, right? Similarly, consider the fragrance as dhyana. So dhyana is a quality. It is a kind of life that is lived. Pure awareness, choiceless awareness, non-judgmental awareness. We are not judging anything. So that's why it is called pure allowance. Whatever is happening is happening. Whatever is not happening is not happening. Whatever is coming, let it come. Whatever is going, let it go. Pure allowance means this. But I am not getting disturbed by whatever is happening or not happening. That is pure allowance, total acceptance of everything happening around you, without judgments, without reactions, without any disturbance. That is dhyana. And it has to be lived. It cannot be practiced for 10 minutes, for 45 minutes. No. That is dharana. This is practiced. To be able to move here. And all these are forms of meditation, or we can say levels of meditation if you want to understand it that way. Yeah. Okay.
Rupa, can
Yes.
we have in the background like some soft meditation music, or does it have to be pure silence, or could it be both?
For dharana, we are going to come to that.
Okay.
Like I said, we will come back to dharana. I still have some material for dharana left, and then we will have a little practice also in the end. So your question about music, I will take up then, and if I forget, please remind me. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are good. This is dhyana, and now we come to samadhi. Now, like I said, we are not worried about dhyana in the first place. We should not even think about this. What we should be practicing and knowing and learning is this part. Now, samadhi is when uh, the subject and the object become one. There is no difference at all. Okay. Now I'm going to explain that. Now I'm looking at an object in dhyana because I want to practice one pointed attention. So let's say I'm looking at the board, okay, and I'm sitting here in front of the board and I'm looking at it and I'm only looking at it without any thoughts, without any. I'm just pushing aside all the thoughts and I'm not looking at anything else except the board. Right? This is called dharana, one pointed attention. How long I can hold this, I'm not bothered, but I'm only looking at it. This is dharana. This is concentrating the mind upon an object, which is the board at this time. Okay. Now my mind is only thinking about the board and nothing else. That is dharana. Now I move on to dhyana. Now here, when I'm looking at the board, my mind is still wavering because I have just initiated myself into dharana. So my mind comes and goes. I get distracted. This is the reality of dharana. With regular practice, a long practice, lengthy practice, my mind gets a little steady. I'm still looking at the object, but now my mind is not wavering. I'm looking at it and I have created a distance from my mind here. And due to that distance, due to a space between my looking and the mind, my mind has stopped disturbing me. Then I am in dhyana. Okay. Now my mind doesn't waver so much here. And when it becomes strong, higher state of samadhi is achieved. The differentiation between my object, which is the board, and me vanishes. Now, me and the subject and the object become one. Again, this cannot be practiced, it happens. From dhyana, the person can transition into samadhi with regular, with, uh, with living a life of total awareness. So that is all about dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. Very subtle, very intense, and very deep. And now, if we look at from where we started, yamas, niyamas, asanas. Now, imagine yourself. This is how this all the steps, all the limbs are intricately woven, and they are all interconnected. If I want to start my spiritual journey today, I will move into moral practices: ahimsa, satya, asteya, Ishwar pranidhan, shauch, which is purity, santosh, which is contentment in niyamas. And then I begin to practice the steadiness of my body through asanas, yoga practice, postures. Then I want to steady my mind through my breath, through prana, pranayam. And then I withdraw my senses, begin to withdraw my senses from the outer world. I can sit with my eyes closed. My senses are already withdrawn. Eyesight is already withdrawn. I can ignore the sounds around me. My hearing is already withdrawn. So practices like those, that is pratyahara, what we discussed yesterday. And then I move forward into dharana. Then I study my attention on only one object. It could be anything. We are about to discuss that. And then I forget about this. With my dedicated practice and my efforts, this dharana will automatically stretch into dhyana. And dhyana will automatically move forward into samadhi. That is a very high state. So now dharana could be practiced in two ways. I'm setting my attention on an object. This could be internal or external. Now, external, I could maybe, just like I gave you the example, I'm looking at the board and I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at anything else that comes to my mind or around the board. I'm only looking at the board and focusing, concentrating on it. That is one. That is external. So, one is external. It could be an image, okay? And it could be like Maria, it could be music. I'm playing music in the background. Maria, that was your question. So I'm playing music in the background and I'm focused on the music. I'm totally into the music. That's all. Okay. And it could be breath, which we normally practice in the classes. Internal. I'm going to use this space now. So internal dharana. Maybe you are focused on your heart. You bring your attention to your heart chakra, or just the heart as an organ. So internally, you are only paying attention to the heart for that amount of time, your practice time. It could be the center of your forehead. These are all internal. Okay. And it could be the vibrations. If you all remember the Brahmari pranayam or the humming. So you are paying attention to the vibrations that the sound is creating, that you are creating. You are not on the sound, you are on the vibrations. Those are the internal ways. But this is a very flexible way to begin the meditation and meditative journey. Everyone is free to follow their own technique. There is no set technique for this. So you have to be creative, follow your technique, make something for yourself. I am focusing on the music. And then you just stay with the music in your practices every day, wherever you feel come. Maybe an image, or maybe you can juggle between few things. Don't keep it the same all the time because this can get monotonous and this can get boring. Again, the mind will step in to tell you that. So keep it new every time. Sometimes breath, sometimes music, sometimes focusing. There is also dharana on the chakras. The chakras are along the length of the spine. So you can choose one chakra in your practice every time. Maybe focus on the Muladhara, maybe the Swadhisthana, maybe the heart chakra, maybe Agnya chakra, wherever you want, or all the chakras for some time in one go. So it's entirely your prerogative how you want to practice. Okay. So, all right. Thank you very much for listening and for your attendance for all the three parts of yoga philosophy. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.